Well, welcome YouTube friends and family to today's freezer meal cooking adventures of the Wellness Homesteader. So as I shared in Tuesday's video, we have been having just really icky weather here. Yesterday, which was Monday, we had a record low high. I know that sounds backwards. So in other words, the highest temperature of the day was the lowest by 5 degrees. So it's been extremely cold, and it has rained and rained, and the wind has blown, and I have despaired about all the work I feel I need to do outside. But I had a thought. As I was sharing in my 7 tips when life brings you stress video, taking care of yourself is a really important part of getting through any stressful situation. If you don't take care of yourself, you can't take care of others. There's actually a study I want to relay to you, so I hope you'll stay tuned. Being a family caregiver in and of itself inherently comes with some stresses. But when you think about life, there are a lot of things that can impact how we feel, how we function, etc. And guys, I promise we're going to get to cooking here shortly, but I just really wanted to share this with you. So there is something called a life change index scale, or the stress test. Not to be confused with the hard stress test, right? So it asks you a series of questions. Each one is weighted. So it can be things like loss of a job, divorce, separation, change in health of a loved one, change in job, having a mortgage over $20,000. Even an outstanding personal achievement can add to your stress score. So you go through and you add them all up, and you're like, well, okay, I already knew I was stressed, so what's the value in this? This is actually a Dartmouth, and I will leave a link in the description box if y'all want to see. I think it was developed by Dartmouth Health Association, but what it tells you is the likelihood that you will have, in some places I've seen it say major illness, but it just says illness in the near future based on your stress level. And it can be anywhere, and you're looking back over a year, guys, so it's not just what happened last week or last month. Anywhere from 80% down to the lowest is 30%, depending on your score. So I decided today might be a good day for me to get back. I know I may not look cooked back, but one of my great joys, in addition to YouTube and filming, I enjoy that, is I love to cook. I love feeling prepared. And I think doing some of this cook ahead is really going to help me. Sorry, guys, I'm fighting the hiccups here. Me and my hiccups, right? Yesterday, I failed to mention, well, in the video you watched on Tuesday, let me say that. I looked on Amazon, believe it or not, they have this book. It's a little paperback book. It's $11. I will link it below. It's called Fear Not: Meditations to Overcome Fear, Worry, and Discouragement. You all, if you like faith-based books, and I can't say this is a certain denomination, it's a beautiful book. So it starts out, fear not, for the Lord will do great things, which is Joel 2:21. So that's going to be my claim for the day. But he actually says in the introduction of this book, take your time with this book. Don't worry if it takes you 3 years to get through this book. I have used this book. It was actually a gift from my mother. After my father passed away, it was gifted to her. She read it, passed it to me, and I still have it. Probably should have returned it, but at any rate, I want to share things with you that I find helpful. And if they're not helpful to you, you just let that go by, as my dad used to say. So, what are we going to do today? Well, I had shared on Tuesday, one of the things that I haven't been doing to take care of myself is I've been eating out. So for those of you who are new, I recently did a food intolerance test. I have 35 foods I'm sensitive to. Who has that, right? I was like, surely this is a mistake. Maybe they mixed my DNA with somebody else's. My blood, it's a blood test. But at any rate, I knew I had some, happened to be allergic to soy. But I also learned a lot about the GAPS diet, which is basically a lower carb diet when you start out, but it is a diet that avoids gluten. And once you heal your gut, many times you can have small amounts of that without going back to having the same immune system problems. So what I'm finding is, in full disclosure, anytime I eat out, because I can't control what's in the food as far as preservatives, additives, soy, rapeseed oil, I'm having a huge issue. When I cook at home, even if I'm adding gluten, using a gluten product, it's not causing me near the symptoms that it does when I eat out. So my way of thinking was, I don't have time to worry about it. I don't have time to go to the grocery store. I just don't have time to deal with it, right? But in actuality, what I did this morning was, I don't know if I can lift this up, guys. I'm sitting in a chair. I went in and I shopped my pantry a little bit and kind of went through my refrigerator and my freezers to see what could I put together to have on hand as a freezer meal. Back in my working days, I cooked all weekend long and did many freezer meals because I usually ate 3 meals a day from what I cooked versus eating out unless I was traveling. I got out of the habit of that, y'all. Pardon me. I've been retired over 3 years now. Oh, I knew that was coming. Excuse me, y'all. So I'm totally out of practice. So this may be like a whole show, if you get my drift. But I'm going to do my best because I am a person who does like to eat breakfast. I don't eat super early, but I like a nice big breakfast. And I usually mostly eat 2 meals a day, and then I snack at later in the evening. I'm not much of a dinner eater, so I eat my dinner at midday. So I went through and I looked at things, maybe, you know, like for example, I've got a lot of freeze-dried hash browns that I'd like to use because they don't stay good forever, right? I have some canned goods that it's time to use. I have a lot of freeze-dried stuff this time. I had some meat in the freezer that needed to be used. I have a plethora of eggs. The girls are laying really well. Miss Violet is still broody. She is still sitting on her imaginary babies to be. But at least this time she's not stealing the other girls' eggs. But I'm having to go out like, oh, maybe 6 times through the day and just check. I kind of know when they lay, but sometimes they fool me too. So I pulled all that out, and I did have like a gluten-free muffin mix, but I also had a whole bunch of Jiffy corn muffin mixes that are not gluten-free. I think they do make a gluten-free one now, but guys, I have like a whole shelf of them, and they are past their best-by date. I've been using them, they're fine. So I thought, let's make this whole list of breakfast items, because you can also have breakfast for dinner, and then do a couple dinner things so that perhaps the night before I can take it from the freezer, put it in the fridge, and I won't have to think that day about, I gotta cook, what am I gonna cook? I need to cook something. and while I enjoy cooking, when you are feeling pressure from all sides, it can be difficult to be creative and to do a good job with meal prep. So I am gonna start out with making some what I'll call breakfast burritos. Now I had to change it up already because I don't have any sausage, but I have bacon and I have honey baked ham, honey shaved ham or whatsoever. And I have some gluten-free wraps. So let's get busy cracking a bunch of eggs. Y'all should see the kitchen. It's like, yeah, it's really on, guys. I've got all the things out. And you may see me sitting a lot today. I'm not, you know, totally under the weather, but just to be truthful, I don't know how well I will do standing up all day. I don't want to get my back in a funk. So I thought, you know, I like my chair. I can sit here some and still film. So the first thing I'm going to do is grab all the ingredients, and I will show you how I'm going to do the freezer wraps for the best thawing and reheating. And I've done these many times. I have never done them with gluten-free wraps, full disclosure. But I think they'll still be fine because gluten-free wraps still kind of heat up and function. I do a lot of wraps now that I'm not eating sandwiches. They seem to come out just fine. So let's get started. All right, step one is I have sliced up a pound of Utzi's pasture-raised bacon. And this came from the Amish store. And let me tell you, y'all, I need to get up there because they have some of the best meat, not the least expensive meat. Let me reiterate that. But they really have some great meats. And I thought, since we're going to be using bacon in a casserole or two, and definitely in our wraps, we're gonna start there. Let me wash the bacon grease off my hands. They also don't use a lot of what I would call artificial additives to their products. So, you know, some people like uncured. This doesn't really specify. It has cure salts in it, so it is a cured product, but I don't have a problem with that. So I'm just going to cook this whole mess up, and then I am going to make an assembly line. And I have been using these. These are really good, y'all. These Live gluten-free wraps. These are the spinach. They have different ones, but these come from Aldi. They do have to, you know, be kept refrigerated like any wrap. But I find they don't taste like cardboard like some of them do. I tried a name brand, pardon me, spinach wrap. Oh my word, y'all. I hope those stop. That, it's a dark green. Let me share them with you because they're awful. Okay. So these are the Mission gluten-free spinach and herb. They're smaller. They're a lot more expensive. These came from Walmart. Don't buy them. Just a heads up. All right, y'all, let me apologize ahead of time for the weird lighting. My ring light just went because I needed that. And I'm about to burn my onions. So I cooked up the pound of bacon, part of which is for our breakfast burritos, part which will be for our casserole coming up. And I need to turn that heat down just a touch. So I took just a touch of the bacon grease, and that's what I cooked the onions in. Don't forget, you want to flavor those eggs. If you like salt and pepper and those type of seasonings, you know, be sure to add that. But I've probably got maybe a cup of onions in there. And then over here in this big bowl, I have beat up 9 of my beautiful eggs from my girly girls. And I am just going to scramble those in. That gives us about an egg and a half per burrito, which is a gracious plenty for me. I think that'll be great. Yeah, and we're gonna like have all the dishes dirty. I will also say I have found, and this is just a me thing, and guys, I'm so sorry about that light. That's really bad. I need to rearrange things. For me, some people like to scramble the cheese in their eggs because it eliminates a step when you're putting the burritos together. But it's not like I'm cooking, you know, 8,000 burritos. So I don't mind the little bit of extra work. I find that the eggs scramble up better without. If you like milk in your eggs, if you like sour cream, whatever, you know, now's a good time to add it. So let me scramble these up, and then I'll take you over, show you quickly how I'm going to wrap them to keep them from getting freezer burnt. And try to figure out the lighting situation. Thankfully I have this light, but yeah, me and ring lights, right? First I broke the clip that holds the camera, so I got a new one of those, and now the ring light, it just went I mean, it just quit, just big fat quit. So who knows, maybe it decided that there was just too much steam and hot air in here. All right, I'll see y'all shortly. This is like spooky lighting. I'm so sorry, but you know what? We're gonna get this done. Get behind me, Satan. I'm getting it done. So I just emptied 2 quarts of hash brown potatoes, and it's really strong. Some jalapenos into this bowl. I am going to rehydrate them with just some almond milk, or not almond milk, excuse me, some oat milk. I recently began trying some organic oat milk, and I really like it. I should have shaken that. Let me shake it. If you are using frozen hash browns or another type of potato like a cooked potato, you can skip this step. The reason I am going to rehydrate them with milk instead of water is I'm not going to add any milk to the eggs in the casserole. And I also realize I don't have any sour cream, which is something I usually put in a casserole. That way, if I don't wring out, so to speak, the potatoes really, really well, and yes, my hands are clean, it doesn't matter. It's just going to add some liquid to the eggs. And these will rehydrate surprisingly quickly. And since we're going to be placing them into a liquid egg mixture, I certainly did not want to put them in not rehydrated. Ask me how I know. I've done it before, and it just turns into a gloopy, gloppy mess. So, actually, I hit that about right on. Let me bury those jalapenos down in there. Excuse my sniffling, guys. I had a major sneezing fit because I took a big old inhale of some vacuum-sealed jalapenos. Woo-wee! That'll wake up your sinuses. All right. So that's looking pretty good. I'm just going to set this aside. We will begin building that after we assemble our burritos. I'm going to have to mop the floor, y'all. It's okay. It's all good. Light doesn't work, but it's all good, right? I tell you, ring lights are the bane of my existence, y'all. And yesterday, just tell you a little funny, I have had to replace my garage door opener twice in the 22 years I lived here. Once right when I moved in, and then once subsequent, but it hasn't been that many years, right? Okay, maybe it has been like 10 years or something, but anyway, the garage door wouldn't go down. And I'm like, oh no. Well, if it has the sensor, so if even like a leaf blows across, it will not shut because it thinks it's a person, and it's like a safety mechanism so you don't crush anybody or anything, right? I go over, there's no leaves, no anything, but there were some cobwebs, imagine that, around the little sensor. So I cleaned those off, still wouldn't go down. So I went back over, and guys, there was a little roly-poly bug running around inside the sensor. I set him free, and he's living his best life now out away from my garage door opener. So I was very thankful and very relieved I don't have to buy another garage door opener. All right, guys, let me get reorganized here, get in a better position because I feel like I'm all hunched over because I am, and we'll get to building up some burritos. Stay tuned. Now, I'm sure you all know how to make a burrito. You don't need me to tell you. However, I do have a couple tips because I've done it a few times where I didn't like kind of how I got it to come out. So what I've done here is I've pre-shredded my cheese to add. I have my bacon here, draining on a paper towel, and I have some honey ham that I thought would be good. You can make it with no meat. You can make it with multi-meats. You can do it however you want. I will say these burritos are a little bit smaller than maybe your typical burrito. But the trick, in my opinion, I do not add any kind of sauce or salsa prior to freezing them. I need to bacon, because what I find is it gets all funky weird when it's frozen, thawed, and especially if you microwave it, you're not going to oven heat it. I probably did enough cheese for like the next 3 years, but that's okay. And then everything is cooled too. I will tell you that. I think it goes better. And guys, these burritos are going to be so stupid flaky that it's going to be a problem, but we're going to give it a try anyway. Okay, yeah. So, plan B might be go to the store and get some regular gluten burritos. And that's okay if we have to do that. I'm only using the gluten-free because that's what I happen to have. So let's Let's try it and think maybe that one was just a bad one. Oh boy. Maybe if I fold one side. You know what, guys? Hold tight. We're gonna go to plan B. Y'all, when all else fails, you go to the store very quickly and you get some regular flour tortillas. So I don't know what was wrong with that particular package. Obviously they were quite stale. And as much as I hate to waste food, I'm not also going to eat something that tastes terrible and won't even roll up like a burrito, because that defeats the purpose, right? So these are so much easier, y'all. And while I was there, I got sour cream. And I might have picked up some sausage. I thought, you know what? I'm trying to use up things at home, but I might as well, you know, take advantage of being right here at the store. So here we have a nice little burrito. And what I will be doing once I get them all wrapped up, and I actually have I have 8 of these. So I'll do 4 of each. I'll put a couple in the refrigerator for subsequent breakfasts. I don't like to leave them longer than 2 days. That's just a me thing. The rest I will wrap, first in tin foil and then in 2 layers of saran. Put them inside a freezer bag, and into the freezer they'll go. I will do 2 per package so that I can just pull it out, and I will have breakfast settled for the next 2 days. For the ham version that I'm going to do, I mean, it's still very similar. I'm just going to put some ham down. This is super thinly sliced. Be a little generous there, Kym. Some cheese, some eggs. And y'all, it smells amazing in here. I didn't realize how good it smelled until I stepped away to go to the store. And of course, you know, I put on flip-flops and socks. And you see like 8 people you know while you're in there. Yeah, of course you do. Let's put the ham ones over here. So I'm going to keep on rolling. Then we're going to get started on our sausage, egg, and cheese, and jalapeno and hash brown casserole. All right, y'all, on to casseroles for breakfast. And these are really nice, y'all. I'm not big on disposable pans, and I've been known to wash these. And definitely wash them before you use them. But you can get these at the dollar store for really, really cheap. It's nice if you have like an event or a need, or they're doing like a meal train at your church and you need something, you know, to take along. You can write the cooking directions on a piece of foil when you cover it, and it can be thawed in the refrigerator the day before. And then these take about an hour to bake, but you can kind of use your own judgment on when it's done through. It depends on the depth of your pan, the amount of ingredients. So in the bowl, I have my beautiful lady's eggs. If they go on strike, I'm in trouble. Because I have used a lot of eggs today. So I have 2 dozen eggs, a few jalapenos. I have our rehydrated potatoes, and that was 2 quarts. So I think, you know, about 8 cups would be about the equivalent rehydrated. I'm gonna do a couple big handfuls of onion because I like onion. I probably shouldn't put jalapeno in the whole thing, but people can pick it out. I didn't dice it so fine. And it's not that hot, in my opinion. I like it hot. And one thing you do want to do is you want to go ahead and season everything really well. So I'm just going to use some freshly ground black peppers. And I decided, since I fried up all that bacon, I am going to make these bacon, egg, potato, and cheese. They're both going to be the same in the meat. But I have this quart of freeze-dried spinach that I'm thinking about putting in one of them. I'm just not certain if that's really what I'm gonna do or not. Just put a little bit of pink Himalayan salt in here. I am not a big heavy salter, and you could leave the salt out if you're cooking them for someone else, for sure. While I was at the store, I did go ahead and buy 8 ounces of sour cream because I thought, I'm here, why not? Ooh, Ooh, missed a whole big jalapeno. I'm gonna just lay that aside. My ladies are laying some pretty eggs. You see how orange they are? They've been pretty upset because of the weather and they want to get out and play. But because they have a tendency to get in the garden, and I do have things planted, I'm not letting them out right now for the last few days because it's been so bad. We've had high winds and everything else. So they're a little mad at me, but they'll get over it. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and add 8 ounces of sour cream to that amount. And guys, it's gonna be soupy. You know, you expect it to be that way because it's gonna firm up. Of course, the eggs will firm up when it bakes. It's gonna be really nice to have some meals ahead. I've been on the struggle bus today. As you see, I can't get the sour cream open. Oh my word. Come on with it. Okay, here we go. So let's add in the sour cream. And then I like to put cheese in it. And I think the beauty of this recipe is you almost can't mess it up. You don't want sour cream? Don't put sour cream. Some people put cream cheese in it. I find that a little too rich for my taste, but hey. And there's 1,000 recipes. This is Kym's made up cooking. But I know this is really good. And you know, I don't want to have to say if I get a call with someone with a need, you know, for food because of an event in their life. I don't want to be like, well, I can't do that because I don't have anything on hand or I'm too stressed out. I like keeping some things on hand for occasions like that. Now, I'm going to use most of this cheese to top with, but this is, in case I didn't say that, extra sharp white cheddar. And I'm using about 2 cups inside and the rest we'll put on top. It smells really good, y'all. Let's go ahead and use the rest of our pound of bacon so nothing goes to waste. I don't know if y'all can see, Frankie's over there on the counter supervising. Is he allowed up there, you ask? Why, no. No, he's not. Does he run this house? Why, yes, he does. All right, this is looking like it's going to be very tasty. You could add green peppers. You could put shredded zucchini in it even if you wanted. I would wring it out really well if you do that because it can make it a little bit watery. All right. So here's our 2 pans. And, I mean, y'all know how to pour. I decided against the spinach. I'm just afraid that it's going to suck too much moisture out of it and we'll have I should have rehydrated it and I didn't. So I'm just gonna divide it between the 2 pans. And this makes plenty, but it doesn't make so much. I mean, you can put more eggs in it. You don't have to stick, you know, strictly to just 2 dozen eggs. Excuse my reach, y'all. On the struggle bus, on the struggle bus. And I'm also not a singer. I'm sure you figured that out. So how simple was that, guys? That was a super easy, much easier than the burritos. And I like this. I would probably use the one there's one's a little fuller than the other. I would probably use that if I was going to supply a meal to someone. And then you just want to cover it well with cheese. And we'll use the same method of saran and foil. And then I don't think I have freezer bags big enough to cover this whole thing, but you could do that as well. So I'll just make sure and wrap it probably twice in foil. And I do use heavy duty freezer wrap. I find that works the best. So guys, another 2 meals. And even if you're just cooking for yourself, I can thaw this and it will stay fresh once it's cooked. It reheats very, very well for a few days. So no problem in using this up in the smaller pan before it spoils. Let me red up this whole mess, get these labeled, and we're going to move on to something really, really simple. I'm going to make a couple chicken marinades, pardon me, vacuum seal them for the freezer, and then I can just simply thaw it out. I already have a very flavorful meat that can be, you know, pan-fried, baked, put in the crock pot, whatsoever. All right, stay tuned. All right, y'all, it's time for me to head to the freezer with some of this. So 2 of my burritos I just double wrapped in saran. And I'll put those in the refrigerator for later this week. And then because my burritos were individually wrapped, I don't know why I was going to put them in separate bags. Then I have my 2 casseroles, our bacon, egg, cheese, and potato bake, marked, labeled with the date, how to cook them, and those will go in the freezer as well. So, taking a look at our list, we managed to get a couple things done already, right? Frankie's helping. Y'all just pretend he's not there. So, we've got the bacon, egg, and cheese wraps, the ham, egg, and cheese wraps, and our omelet casserole is what I call that. So the only thing left as breakfast food is some gluten-free muffins. I just threw that on the floor, which I think I'm going to put off at this point. We're at about 3 hours or so into, you know, Bitey, no, y'all want cat? All right, I better get these in the freezer before he eats them. I'll see y'all very soon. All right, y'all, you'll be happy to know, got my ring light ordered. So the next video, I promise, won't be like this really like mood lighting weird stuff, but pardon me, I was able to kind of reset the kitchen from breakfast, and I wanted to go ahead and do a couple marinated chickens. You all, these are so easy, and the possibility for how to flavor them is absolutely endless. So as I've explained, I've been trying to kind of go through some things, and these were frozen basil cubes. They're just frozen in olive oil. And so I thought, well, those have been in here for quite some time in the freezer. So let's give them a sniff and make sure. Oh, y'all, that smells so good. So I'm going to put a pretty generous amount of basil. And again, guys, marinades, there are a million recipes online. I don't really use a recipe. It's just the eyeball method for me. But I love basil and balsamic. So I'm just going to drizzle in a bunch of balsamic. And what I have here, guys, these bag holders are amazing. I kept seeing people use them, and I'm like, why do I not have those? So I finally got myself a set. And y'all, it just makes everything so much easier. Your bags don't get all goopy and nasty. And what I have in here is 2 meals worth for me of chicken thigh. Now I'm just adding some olive oil. Y'all, if you don't have these ingredients on hand, you can also use salad dressings. That works as well. The base, pretty much to every marinade, is an oil of some sort, usually olive. And I'm just giving these guys a really good massage because the basil's kind of stuck in one spot. And then when I'm ready to have a meal, thaw these out the night before. That's the way I do it, guys. It's just, I don't counter thaw things, and rarely do I even cold water defrost, because I worry about food safety. So, you know, you do what works for you and your family for sure. So I'm gonna get as much of this air out as I can so they will lay flat in the freezer. And guys, that's all there is to it. Now, I know it doesn't look really appetizing, but after you thaw them, so easy. Guys, these little things slide up and down. So if you're using a small baggie, you can use a small setting. If you're using a large baggie like I am, you can use a large setting. So for this one, I am going to start with my olive oil. And y'all may notice, why aren't you salt and peppering? Because I don't want to. I would prefer to add my salt later. And I'm going to use a little bit of sesame oil. So this is sort of an Asian flavored. I'm using some liquid aminos. You could use soy sauce if you can tolerate that. And a little bit of ground ginger. Another good combo. I'm going to add about probably a teaspoon. Or so. Oh, y'all. I'm getting tired, so it always shows in my cooking. Lemon pepper is a really good one too. You can do just like a straight up easy Italian marinade with an Italian dressing or just oil and Italian spices. But this produces such a tender piece of chicken. You're going to be amazed how good it tastes. And then you can cook it in the air fryer. You can cook it in the oven. You could pan sear it. Some recipes I've seen say they don't recommend the crock pot. I don't know if it over marinates them, or over tenderizes them, because this is going to tenderize the meat and it's not tough to start with. So I will probably use the air fryer just to cook them through. It's quick, it's easy, it's mess free. So that fast, y'all. Took a long time to do the breakfast, but we have 2 dinners. And if I had more chicken available, I could do more. I just don't want to get so many meals that I can't manage. So in about 3.5 hours, I decided I got 24 breakfasts, and this is 4 dinners, at least the protein part of the dinner. I still want to do a little bit of baking. So I'm gonna take a break, rest my back. You always know I'm getting tired when I start to lean, right? And I will either come back and sign off, or I will come back and introduce, there's gonna be a part 2, because I'm not doing it today, or we'll come back and we'll do it. I'm not sure what. I don't want to get the video too long for you as well, but I just want to show you that putting some effort, a few hours effort into meal making, you know, it's just as easy to cook that many breakfasts as it was to cook one. I mean, it took a little bit longer, but it was quite simple, and I had to dirty the pots and pans anyway. All right, you guys, I'm going to take a rest, get this chicken labeled and in the freezer, and I'll see you back. Yeah, let's finish up this freezer cook ahead day with a bang. As I said, we're not going to do the gluten-free blueberry muffin mix, but I do want to go ahead and do the corn dog muffins. Now, y'all know I've talked about organic and gluten-free and non-GMO. Okay, this is none of that, but this is definitely a kid pleaser and also a big kid pleaser. So I have quite a few Jiffy corn muffin mixes that need to be used. I won't share with you their best by date. It might scare you. No, it's not that bad, guys. Let's just say they should have been used by now. So what I'm doing here is I'm going to put 2 of the Jiffy corn muffin mixes. And again, I have seen them gluten-free at the store. So if that's a big concern for you, you can definitely do that. To that, we are going to add 3/4 cup of milk. And guys, I am using oat milk because that's what I have. And 2 eggs. So we've gotten through a lot of those excess eggs today, and quite a few things that were on the pantry shelf that I felt needed to be used. So, whoops, I didn't do very good cracking that. Guys, look how pretty those eggs are. Look how orange. Okay. So that was super simple, right? And like I said, this is great for kids, because what kid doesn't like a corn dog, right? This big kid likes corn dogs. So I'm just using my Danish whisk to get it well mixed. And we are going to make about a dozen muffins, I think, is about what this is going to mix. So mix, make, good grief. Y'all, some days. When I start to get tired, my words escape me sometimes. Okay. So what you want to do is you want to fill each one of your muffin cups. And guys, I finally bought myself some silicone muffin liners because, as you know, I do a lot of cooking and baking. I would like to get some different types of muffins ahead and frozen because they freeze so well. So I'll put that on my brain dump. I actually also have quite a bit of frozen fruit left that I need to get making. So let's see if we get a full 12 out of this. You know, I think a cookie scoop is one of the best inventions ever made. And that is just Miss Cindy, my range, letting me know that we are preheated to 400 degrees. So I timed that pretty well. Yeah, this looks like it's going to make just about exactly 1 dozen. I was going to make 2 dozen, but I thought, well, too many corn dog muffins make too much Kym. And these are not gluten-free. So let's not waste any in the bottom of the bowl. Okay. That one might be a little shy. Let's grab a spatula. Get that scraped out. Otherwise known as a spatula. Y'all should drop me a comment below if you would. Do you have any words that you know that you say wrong once it comes out of your mouth, but yet you've maybe said it that way or heard it that way all your life? I think we all have some of those. I definitely do. Now this is how easy it is, guys. So I have some hot dogs. Now personally, I like to cut the hot dog in half and then cut it into pieces. And then you just shove the little hot dog pieces down into the corn muffins. And then voila, you have a hot dog corn dog muffin. Or a corn dog muffin. I guess corn dogs include the hot dog, right? I was counting how many pieces I cut up and now I've lost track, so I may have to go back and add a few, but I just used 3 hot dogs is what I'm using. You could use the mini hot dogs. You don't have to use regular hot dogs, but when I was perusing the freezer, I had some hot dogs that have been in there quite some time. So as I was doing some of my meal preparation and thawing things in preparation for this video, I thought, you know what, let's just get the dogs out. So you could use little smokies, you could use whatever your family prefers. And I am having to go back and add some pieces here, there. Oops, I totally skipped one. Huh. Well, good thing I caught that. Somebody would have been dogless. All right, so into the oven we go. The recipe says 12 to 15 minutes. I'm not really sure how long it's going to take. I will let you know when they come out. We'll do a quick taste test because this is going to be my afternoon snack. Before we finish up this video and taste our delicious corn dog cupcake muffin thingies, they look so cute. Look at them. They are adorable. I thought I'd just recap. So I spent about 4 hours, including cleanup, including, pulling things out, putting things away. And I actually ended up with 8 burrito wraps for breakfast, 16 servings, maybe more, of the omelet casserole, and depending on whether or not I gift one. So that adds up to 24 breakfast servings. For dinner, even if you eat 2 of these, like with soup or salad or bowl of chili, I have a lot of that canned or in my freezer. 6 servings of the corn dog muffins, 2 servings of the balsamic basil chicken, and 2 servings of the Asian ginger sesame chicken. So that is a lot of food, guys, for 4 hours work. And if I would have just done one of those meals, it probably would have taken me at least an hour start to finish. So I feel like I really maximized my time. I'd love to hear from you though. Perhaps these are not videos that you're interested in, freezer meal cooking for 1 or 2, because I don't do big batch cooking anymore because it's only me to eat it, right? Drop me a comment below if you'd be interested in seeing more. So let's give these a taste, guys. And by the way, it took, oh, these come out so nice. The little muffin liners. Look at that. It's screaming hot, but it smells like a corn dog. You could put ketchup, mustard, have some sort of dipping sauce. I think it would be really good with a salad or even a bowl of chili. So let's give it a try. The corn muffin mix is slightly sweet. The hot dogs are slightly salty. It took about, let's see, 15, 17 minutes for me in my oven. I think because my hot dog pieces were a little bigger, and you know, they do have some fat in them that probably had to cook through, so the muffins weren't soft, but these are perfectly done and super good. I like mine plain or with mustard. I hope to see you all again on Saturday. I hope it will be a garden and outdoor video. I'm kind of tired of being inside, but lots going on still with, you know, visiting and my mom's needs, etc. So I have to kind of play it by ear, but that's my plan at this point, Lord willing. Thank you all for your time today. Please go ahead and smash that like button. If you know someone who needs to get ahead on their freezer meals, but they don't want to cook in a large quantity, share my video. I greatly appreciate it. I will see you all again very soon, and until then, be healthy, be well, be blessed, take care.